Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Hold on real quick because my camera is wilding, but there we go. There we go. Now you can see my pretty face. What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to another Wednesday night episode. And I don't even really know what to call this. I think we just have to call this kind of just college football talk with the coaches instead of Monday night football coach. We'll come up with the title. It is what it is.
Right.
But of course, Coach Jay, Coach Shawn, he is back here again. I know a lot of you guys missed him a lot, and especially because you guys were going crazy in the comments. That was wild, man. So he's back. Coach Smook, I think he's a little behind, so he'll be on his way. But Coach Shawn, how you doing, man?
Doing good, brother. Doing good. I apologize for missing the other night. My baby girl had actually a couple of basketball games. She's a cheerleader, and so I had to be the proud dad in the front row. And but I'm back, ready to talk college football, man. Shout out to everybody that's in the chat. Shout out to everybody that's tapped in. Let's talk about it.
Yep. So of course, so you weren't here on Monday, obviously. So we got to get your insight, kind of more catch up, but like kind of your recap of the LSU game and moving forward to the Kentucky game. What are your thoughts on that? Some of the challenges that they're going to be presenting to Alabama. Will they be a threat to Bama? Most importantly, both of them. But yeah, just kind of more catch up of what we of course missed on Monday.
As far as the LSU game wrap up, man, I was excited about how the team played. If you remember, my concerns, as always, were third down. I knew if we could just convert third downs, we were going to have a great chance to win that game. And those guys did way more than convert third down. So I'm very, very, very happy with that. I know LSU's defense weren't the best, but to go out and beat a very, very talented team like that, man, is that was huge. That was huge. I personally believe if we had played that efficient on third down, we would be undefeated right now by easy. I don't think there's a team in the country that can present a major challenge to us when we play like that. I think we present a major challenge to anybody else in the country when we play like that on third down. For me, it wasn't even the offense. I mean, I know Jalen played well and the offense looked absolutely outstanding against LSU. But for me, it was just the third down. Third down is what we used to call in college the money down. Third down is where you make your money at, man. Third down is where you can, if you're on defense, you want to get off the field on third down. And if you're on offense, you want to extend drives on third down. So for us to be, I don't know what the number was, but I'm very positive we were very efficient on third down. And to me, that's why we won that game. As far as going into Kentucky, totally different type game, very physical team. Team that's not going to really try to fool you a lot. Team is going to come downhill at you. Very fundamentally sound football team. Had some losses early, kind of got taken to the woodshed by Georgia. But they beat Mississippi State pretty good. I know the score was only 20 to whatever it was, but they physically whipped Mississippi State in the trenches. So this is a different type game. And then to all the fans out there, man, you know how it go with these 11 o'clock games, man. Real funky, wonky 11 o'clock, too early to drink anything, too late to even really enjoy it for real that early. So you got to be real careful, man, with these 11 o'clock games, man. They set you up to be real weird, man. And so I don't know what's worse, going on the road late at night or going on the road at 11 o'clock in the morning. So we got to be prepared, man. We got to be prepared. And I hope the guys are, and I think they will be.
Right. I'm not gonna lie to you. That was one of my main concerns. I'm about to ask Smook in there. There it is. But boy, Coach. But yeah, but that was one of my biggest concerns. Kind of going into last time was, you're coming off of a great high, like a great high beating LSU. Now all of a sudden you're playing 11 o'clock in the morning. You feel on top of the world. But this is a Kentucky team that is 6-3, and they're looking to kind of kick your tail. They're at home. It's going to be rowdy environment, and that is kind of the main concern is. Do we revolt back into what we look like against Arkansas, against first half against Tennessee? Do we revert back to that? Or do we continue to take that next massive step towards becoming a more kind of complete offense? That's kind of one of my biggest concerns going against to Kentucky last time I talked.
Man, I'll tell you what, I'll answer this and I'll bring it to Coach Smook. I think Kentucky's going to come out and play physical, man. These guys don't have nothing to lose. They hoping to catch us on the high. Mark Stoops is a good coach, man. I mean, Kentucky was before he got there.
The SEC.
Exactly, man. Kentucky was always so up and down, and the whipping boy for a couple of years. Then they win 7 games. Then they go back to being the whipping boy. Mark Stoops done a good job at that team, man. You know, the Kentucky football has been fairly relevant the last couple of years as far as by their standards in football. And you know, I think the guys will be ready. I think the kids will be ready. They understand that everybody's looking for a letdown. You know, that's why I kind of want to move on past the LSU game and really get into this Kentucky game, a downhill game. They want to slow it down and run right at you. Kentucky's a physical football team. I'll never forget years ago, Jonathan Allen back in 2016, I think it was, we played them on homecoming. And I went to that game. And I can remember Jonathan Allen said Kentucky was the most physical team they played in the regular season. So those guys are well coached. They understand leverage. They understand, you know, put a hat on a hat. You know, they're not flashy by any stretch of the imagination. They're not the most talented team by any stretch of the imagination. But Kentucky at 11 o'clock in the morning, you know, it's a game we need to go out and take care of our business because it's one of those funky, wonky 11 o'clock games, man.
Coach Smook, what's going on with you? What's going on with you, Bella?
Nothing much, man. Just getting off the show with our sister, our Bama sister Cici, man, over there literally talking the same subject about this Kentucky game, y'all. And everybody's, you know, I heard you say as soon as I came in, Coach Jay, I'm worried about these guys not getting up for the early game. That's not even a factor. We're week 10. This is week 10. You don't have to get up for games anymore. You know, these are week 10 elimination mindset. This is a game where you just want to hurry up and get it over with. You want to go in, dominate, so you can get that extra rest and go into the Chattanooga game, dominate, get that extra rest as a starter, as a leaders, you know, the leaders on the team, because your leaders and your impact players are the ones out there creating this momentum. So I don't think this team is struggling with a mindset of coming in and overlooking any team. We saw them struggle like that with Arkansas at homecoming. You know, that was probably the most embarrassing win of the season. And that's, I mean, the top USF. You know, we had Arkansas, a struggling Arkansas at home. And like you said, Coach Shawn, after that game, we could have scored in the second half. You think Alabama's trying to deal with that again after a big win after LSU? No. And this defense is clicking. Their defensive front is solid, but they struggle against top-ranked opponents. Any opponent that can present some level of balance, Kentucky struggles against them. Missouri, Georgia, Tennessee, the last 3 losses before their win against Mississippi State, all balanced teams that can create balance if you give them an opportunity, and they all did that. Yeah, they scored, you know, against Missouri and Tennessee 20-plus points, but those weren't like early 20 points. These are late scores when the game is, you know, handily decided. So I'm a little bit more confident this week with this team's mentality and their approach to the game, and how just, you know, we can literally say 7 quarters of complete football have been played between the last 2 games leading into this game, or 6.5. Let's say 6.5 complete quarters, because half of the second quarter against Tennessee was kind of sloppy. But I want to say about 6.5 quarters of solid play, consistent, progressive, getting better play style has been displayed, and I don't see that slowing down against this Kentucky team.
Shout out to Duke Logo 2020, my fellow Buffalo Bills compatriot. Of course, we're both struggling over here, man, but he came up with the $2 super chase. Says, got my wish, more coaches shows. You already know that me, Coach Smook, Coach Shawn, we're going to bring you more content if possible. Yeah, man. So we got to talk about, of course, college football reactions a little bit, because I'm not going to lie to you guys. I'm not going to lie to you guys. I'm confused with this committee. I'm very, very confused with this committee. I don't know what they want. I don't know what's important. I don't know if it's just strength. I don't know if it's eye test. I don't know if it's strength of record. I don't know what they follow. I don't know what the basic criteria is, because Alabama is behind, or I mean, again, Texas, I can understand that. We lost the head-to-head matchup. But Oregon at number 6 with their resume, only beating 1 ranked team, again, dominant fashion, give all the credit to them in the world. But this is the same Oregon team that struggled against Texas Tech. So if Alabama's going to get punished for playing early for their season, why shouldn't Oregon be why shouldn't, again, or they struggled second game of the year against a very piss poor Texas Tech football squadron. Ever since their loss to Texas, They have beaten 3 ranked opponents. We include Texas, which is 4 ranked opponents that they've already played against. Kentucky by the end of the year could be ranked. They could, because I think that they can beat Louisville, so they could finish 8-4 within the top 25. Alabama could literally finish this thing with potentially at least 5 ranked opponents at the end. And like I said, again, Michigan and Ohio State's going to take care of itself out. For the most part, we'll see what happens with Florida State. If Florida State goes undefeated, they're probably going to be in. We'll see what happens with Washington. I do think Oregon's going to beat Washington, but if everything kind of plays out the way that it is right now, I mean, is there a possibility, guys, that we could be left out based off what we've seen so far from the playoff committee?
I think so, man. I'm gonna tell you why. The way it's setting up right now, even if Washington or Florida State or one of these, look no further than last year. If one of these guys lose, right, and they have 1 loss, who's to say that they won't keep these guys above us, man? I don't understand that either, because Oregon's schedule with Hawaii and Texas Tech and all these, you beat Utah. Congrats. That's a quality win for me. Other than that, who have they beaten, man? And what I don't understand is they said they put Ohio State at number 1 because of their schedule. They played Notre Dame, cool. They played Penn State, cool. I got no problem with that, right? They said they penalized Georgia for the same reason. Well, if you penalize Georgia and put them at 2, you put Michigan at 3, and Michigan's schedule worse than Georgia's. So, and you use the same logic to keep them at 3. So I was scratching my head like, wait a minute. So you penalize one team for a schedule, you pretty much uplift another one for their schedule. So I'm thoroughly confused, man. The thing that sucks about it is I don't think Texas is going to lose another game. TCU, I don't think they're going to lose to TCU. I don't think they're going to lose to. If they do, it'll be in the Big 12 championship game. I don't think those 3 teams they play in the regular season I just don't. I hope they do. And here's the thing that pissed me off as a Bama fan, that it's going to suck for me to say this, but it's just the truth is in the details. If Ole Miss beats Georgia, let's just play devil's advocate for a minute, Smook. If they mess around and beat Georgia, we're going to be mad if Ole Miss jump us because we beat them head to head. That's all Bama fans are going to say. We beat them head to head. Who cares if they beat Georgia? We beat them, right? Which is true. How do you think Texas fans are going to feel if they keep winning and we jump them? It's the same exact scenario. It's a scenario, except they didn't beat the number 1 team. So it just all sucks, man. You can't make no sense out of any of it. We're number 8. I personally think Texas should be the top team with 1 loss if we're going to do that. I think we would beat Texas right now if we played them, but I understand why they're ahead of us. So I can't make no sense of that stuff, man.
Coach Smook, what you think about it, man?
I'm right there with you all, but I'm gonna take the other side of it because you literally said the same points I made. I'm gonna take the other side of it. I think this puts more pressure on those that are in front of Alabama to have to win out, and that doesn't play in Florida State's favor when you got a rivalry game against Miami. And as trash as Miami is played, we know how rivalry games go in college football. Everybody thought Texas was going to be able to edge out Oklahoma with their decisive defense and their explosive offense. And we saw how that game turned out. Then Oklahoma turned around and crapped the bed, and they lose 2 games. So this college football season is exactly what it needs to be right now. And for Alabama to drop one early, to be still stuck at number 8 behind a trash strength of schedule Oregon, I give Washington their respect. They're still undefeated, which is why I don't understand how they're not with their more impressive win, in my opinion, how they're not the number 4, right now. Right. Ohio State has been struggling with teams, unranked teams who don't have statistically. I don't think anybody that they have played has a top ranked offense or defense, a top 25 ranked offense or defense fielded on either side of the field. So it's one of those things where you kind of like their criteria is consistently inconsistent, which somewhat plays into our favor because now those guys in front of us have to find a way to keep us away, keep us out the playoffs. If we continue to win and not even win decisively, you can't. You've already showed that style points don't matter because Ohio State struggled against a 2-loss Rutgers and only beat them by 14. We literally held the number 1 offense in the nation in LSU to 28 points, almost half of what they're averaging point wise. We beat them which was a ranked team, a conference team who everybody had trending above us. I guarantee you, if LSU had beat us and they gave us our second loss of the season, first conference loss, LSU jumps to number 5 easily. And it's crazy that because it's Bama, they get that love and they get that type of that push. So like the Bama fatigue is real, but like everybody in the chat is saying, I want to see this team just continue to win out because and people want Ole Miss to beat Georgia. Me personally, I don't think Georgia's win-loss record or whatever has any weight on what this committee is deciding when it comes to Alabama. I think it's literally going to have to come down to us winning out, being SEC one-loss SEC champs, regardless of what it is. And like you said, Jay, Ohio State, Michigan plays itself out. And Shawn, I think you're sleeping on this Texas TCU game. You got to remember, Quinn Ewers is still out, and they're playing at TCU at night. And that's the last time that game happened like that. This Texas offense was just as powerful during that season when TCU came in and upset them boys. They actually, I think they drug them like by 18, if I'm not mistaken, because Texas had like 4 or 5 turnovers that game. It was one of the crazy games. So TCU is built to score. We saw that when they played against Colorado. They are built to score early in the season. So we just got to see. It's college football, man.
So I bet you a 6-pack of that Get Right juice that Texas dump truck TCU.
I don't know, man. Malik Murphy ain't what I thought he was going to be, and it's only because he's young. I'll take the bet. You know me. You remember what happened last time you bet me though?
I bet on Clemson. Clemson beat Notre Dame. When do we win?
You ain't bet me. I've been called that dog on Clemson Notre Dame. I hate Notre Dame. I hate Notre Dame. I pick Auburn against Notre Dame. Honestly, I hate to spit that out my mouth, but the media makes me hate Notre Dame. That's what it is. Like this team do the same thing every freaking year. 6-0. Then we lose to whoever. We're undefeated against non-conference. Bully, whatever. I don't know. Whatever.
So Eric D says, Coach SPH, Texas lost to Oklahoma, but was ranked ahead of OU before OU lost their second game. That's kind of my point, Eric. Exactly. That's exactly what I was saying. I can't figure this committee out. I have no clue what the hell they're doing. I don't know, brother. I don't know. But I guess if we go in real time, I guess none of that matters now because OU has lost again. So I don't know, Eric. I can't tell you what criteria. This has been my problem with the committee every year we've had this committee. At the end of the season, I think all of us are asked one question. All you gotta do is just answer the question, and I can go with whatever they say, man. We just take last year, for example. Is it the 4 best teams, right? Or is it the 4 most deserving teams? It's a different. If you tell me TCU deserves to go and Bama didn't, TCU lost 1 game, Bama lost 2. Cool. I won't like it, but I can accept that. But if you're telling me it's the 4 best teams, I watched Alabama beat Kansas State, and I know that's 2 different games and things of that nature. But I watched Georgia do something to TCU that I don't think I've ever seen in a college football playoff to that degree. I've seen ass whippings, but what was that team even doing in the playoffs? So you lose money when you put teams in there like that. People don't want to watch it. People leave early. So, I don't know.
And that's more the reason why I think we went out. You don't keep. It's going to be hard to keep a 1-loss SEC champ that defeated the quote unquote, not quote unquote, but assuming that Georgia makes it to the SEC championship. That back-to-back championship is the thing that's keeping them at number 2, which Georgia should be number 1. If you want to talk about strength of schedule and handling business, they're undefeated 26-game win streak right now. And they literally just took out one of the top trending. Missouri was number 2 in the East, and they only had 1 loss coming into that game, and they were ranked. So it's one of those things you like. This committee, are they watching the games or are they just looking at the paper and seeing these records and say, "Oh, this name looks pretty. Let me make sure they go first." It's bothersome, but at the same time, we win. We're in. I honestly believe we win. We're in, regardless of.
So what if Texas? What if Texas?
I was just about to say that if Texas wins all the rest of their games, even though we have the strength of record, they got the head-to-head win. And they came here to Tuscaloosa.
I don't think they'll let us jump those.
I don't know if they'll let us jump.
Go back to the first year of the college football playoff. You remember when they were trying to? I forget the Pac-12 the Big 12 teams.
Baylor and TCU.
You get what I'm saying? And how they had to flip that because strength of schedule played, a factor in that. If they're trying to, you can't sit there and tell me that this committee, even though they're not publicly saying it, they're literally trying to set this thing up. And my theory is Vegas has flipped so much money now that Alabama has handled Tennessee, A&M, and LSU, supposed to be our 3 losses of the season. Since Alabama has handled Vegas, they got to find a way to even that pot out so they could bring that money in when it comes to the playoffs, conference championship weekends and stuff. That's literally where it's at with the college football committee.
I think that year, 2014 though that was a different. I will say that the only reason why I say it's different is because Ohio State, those last 3 games dominated. Right. I mean, they literally blew out their opponents.
And that's what I'm saying. We're in that position now. That's what I'm saying. I feel like we're in that position now. So if we blow out Kentucky, Chattanooga, Auburn, go to the SEC championship and win against Georgia, beat them 14-10 by 10, number 1, number 2 team, that can't keep you out, man. I just don't see it. I just don't see it.
I can. I think if Texas wins every game, I'm telling you they're gonna look at the head-to-head matchup because Oklahoma State's gonna be ranked. Kansas State's gonna be ranked. I mean, as far as
already ranked goes, both of them.
I mean, we're gonna be at the top of the playoff committee's list. I think the only if we, and let's just say hypothetically, right? If Florida State goes undefeated, if one of the Big Ten teams go undefeated, of course, and let's say one of the Pac, Washington goes undefeated, Texas, and we're fighting between Texas and Alabama. Alabama, I think, has to they can't just win. You might have to be in a scenario where you might have to dominate. You might have to dominate every single opponent that's going to be your favorite. You might have to blow out Georgia if that's possible. And that may not sound the most fairest type of thing to happen, but we have seen in certain scenarios where teams had to dominate their competition in order for them to jump ahead because of how they view. 2016 is a perfect example, right? Penn State beat Ohio State and then beat Ohio State for the division, won their conference championship, and yet Ohio State was over them in the college football playoff, right? Us against Ohio State because Alabama was dominant for that 2017 year, but we lost to Auburn, who beat us and beat Georgia. Ohio State they won the conference championship. They had a better strength of schedule record than us, but they put Alabama in, of course, because Alabama, for the most part, eye test wise, looked more dominant. I think what's going to suck with us is the fact that we played Texas. And I think this is another issue, a really, really another issue that I think the committee has to be very careful with. And this is going for next year. And that's scheduling non-conference opponents. Because if we didn't play Texas this year at all, where would we be ranked right now? Probably number 1 or number 2 if we didn't play Texas, right? So that is a concern. What are you trying to reward? Are you trying to reward strength of schedule, or are you trying to reward what you're seeing from the eye test? Because they can't go hand in hand. Of course, Bama has a much stronger schedule than Oregon, but at some point you got to reward us. You have to reward us for playing, not just winning against difficult opponents, but even playing the difficult opponents in the first place. No, no one else scheduled Texas, Georgia, and Oklahoma. That matchup was backed out. Michigan didn't play anybody for the first game for any of those games. We did. We stepped up to the plate, and we got punished for playing against a top-level team week 2 of the season when they don't even. And I hate this about the committee. They never factor in when you play when you play an opponent. They pick and choose for certain teams to add that to our criteria. Knowing how well that we were trying to get things right, we have a brand new offensive coordinator, a brand new defensive coordinator, a quarterback working with young talent on the defensive side of the ball, trying to reestablish our offensive line, receivers galore, trying to work with those receivers, and yet at the end of the day, you're telling me that we're going to get punished despite us showing you that we're getting better by beating ranked opponents, that we're still going to potentially be left out over an Oregon squadron that has nowhere near the strength of record. It doesn't sound right. And I think that if we're heading towards that direction, we are heading towards a very dangerous slope as far as top tier teams scheduling non-conference opponents.
I tell you this, man, if we continue to win out, beat Georgia, if God bless us to win the rest of our games, go to the SEC championship and beat Georgia, Texas win out, win the rest of their games and beat whoever in the Big 12 championship, Man, that's gonna be a real headbanger, bro. That's gonna be a real headbanger. But the part that still confuses me is I don't think we've ever got this deep in the playoff criteria. I don't ever remember it being this many undefeated teams. Um, still that's still undefeated in every conference like that. So it's gonna be real crazy this year, man, because everybody's gonna have a gripe or a legitimate gripe this year. Washington, if they lose, they're gonna have a gripe, right? Texas is gonna say you see what Texas is saying. This is their freaking motto. We win the Tuscaloosa and beat blah, 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 blah. Okay, whatever. You know what I'm saying? I've heard that 30,000 times from Steve Sarkisian, right? He's hanging his hat on that Bama win. He ain't gonna let the committee forget that one, right? Florida State, I just don't know, man. I'm stuck on Florida State. They could lose, but they could win out. I mean, those games they have left aren't very. I mean, I know it's rivalry game, but they're just not very challenging. So I don't know what the hell's going to happen this year, man. I really don't. You know, I hope if we win out, we'll have an opportunity to play. And I just don't know, guys. This is a real weird year, and it's going to be interesting to see what happens.
What's going on, Carla? Roll Tide, sis.
Yep, roll tide, Carla.
Roll Tide, Carla.
Yeah, I don't know. This playoff committee is just it confuses me. I'm one of those people that we got to take it one game at a time, but it just kind of confuses me. But I guess kind of switching gears, because we do got to talk about this. I don't think we talked about this last time, but we got to talk about Michigan and the supposed sign stealing, which is going on with that program right now, because of course the entire Big Ten conference, for the most part, I mean, a lot of these teams they're trying to schedule a meeting, and for the most part, guys, they're trying to meet to see what they can do with Michigan. Now, they're still being investigated. There is I guess there's a rumor proposal that Jim Harbaugh is going to be the one that could potentially be suspended, but we all know for the most part, it's not just, pretty much a majority of their teams. Of course, Purdue was the most notable one, Bowling Green. A lot of teams, Ohio State, well, of course, Ohio State's going to say it, but a lot of teams are starting to come up and saying, yes, we kind of figured that somebody from their side was kind of stealing signs. We kind of heard rumors about it, and we kind of investigated ourselves, and we kind of found evidence that we can show to not just the NCAA, but we can show it, of course, to the Big Ten chair. So I guess, what do you kind of think about, of course, the sign stealing scandal was going on with Michigan, and do you think that for the most part they should be at least left out until this investigation's kind of completed out of the playoff?
Go ahead, Coach Smook.
I think if the committees came out and said that that's not going to be a factor in how they rank those guys, they need to stick to that. That's what their initial statement was. Don't waver and be inconsistent like y'all are with how y'all ranking these teams. But in my personal opinion, if they are able to get into the investigation and prove that they've been stealing signs this season, I don't know who on their schedule would have been. I don't remember seeing a team on their schedule that provided that type of challenge to them thus far. Like I said, Michigan usually doesn't really start their season until week 8, week 9 of the season anyways. But you look at who they've played, man. Nobody has really been a threat to them personnel wise or talent wise. This is their first real threat. So if you go into this game and you see some clues and some signs, which you probably hope not, which is probably why the news is coming out at this time, because they're actually about to play a real game. So, it's all media, I want to say, driven, how this investigation is going. But when you get to the real meat of the matter, man, it's one of those things where, what is it? Theoretically speaking, man, it does provide an advantage on the field. If you can literally look at how I'm signaling to my quarterback to make a adjustment and tell your linebacker, hey, this is exactly where it's going, not what to look for, but this is where it's going, because we've had people. That's crazy to me. And we know it's been going on in the past, but not to this extent, to where you literally got somebody dressing up.
That's crazy.
And,
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That was crazy to me. I thought it was a hoax when I seen the first report, but
got the blue camera on the side of the glasses.
I mean, it's crazy. So, the Snapchat glasses and all that. So it's crazy that you would expect that. But the fact that this week is their first real test, and if it shows Penn State is being Penn State again, and they have to win decisively, or like they have to win with some craziness for it to be spilled over into how they are ranked in the college football playoff. So I don't know, man. Hopefully they lose and it just puts all that noise to bed and we can move past it, because I'm sick of it. Jim Harbaugh, go back to the NFL. College football is clearly not a place for you. You hype, you about all that drama. So yeah, I'm over that. I'm tired of hearing about it, honestly. I don't care. I feel like if Michigan play anybody meaningful, that I don't care how many signs you steal, you see what happened, So yeah, that's where I stand with it, man.
I hope they get beat, but I'm just not impressed with Penn State. I don't know if Ohio State defense was that good or Penn State was just that bad on offense, man. I don't really know. Yeah, I'm about like Coach Smook. I'm just tired of listening about it too, man, because they keep talking about it, but nothing's gonna be done.
Nothing.
I mean, so I don't even see the purpose of keep going on about it. I heard both sides of their argument. If you don't have the facts, you can't suspend us. If you don't have the if you don't have the facts, then talk about it whenever you get the facts. Because
right.
It's on ESPN every single day. If this was Georgia or Alabama with this kind of stuff, man, they cremate us. They cremate us, bro. So, I don't know, man. To me, it seems like the committee always tries to set stuff up. Like they're bloviating over Penn State right now. They're making it seem like they're just this, So if Michigan do beat them, they can say, well, look, they beat Penn State. Penn State. I've noticed they do that every year around this time in the Big Ten. They'll blow up this team. They're Penn State. They're gonna get tested. Michigan will go in there and beat them like they stole something. And next thing you know, Michigan, they move up the ladder very, very, very fast. So I'm not impressed with Penn State at all. If you don't, man, look, anytime you got humans in charge of things, it don't matter how much you say we're not biased. We're AD.
We are,
bro. These are ADs of these institutions. Yeah. If you don't think they're just very professional people that can hide it. They're ADs. Their job is solely dependent on funds, sports, anything benefiting the university. They're definitely biased without a shadow of a doubt. So, who knows how it's going to go, man? Who knows? I personally think we should be over Oregon. I think Oregon should be behind Texas and Alabama.
Yes.
Personally.
Right.
Yes.
So, who knows, Coach J, Coach Smook?
Yeah, I'm with you guys. I'm kind of tired of hearing it. Of course, it's literally one of the biggest. I mean, when Europe and you got Sky Sports and you got a bunch of these European stations, when they're reporting it, it's a big deal because they can care less about college football unless we lose. For some reason, every time we lose, we appear in London and we appear in Germany. For some reason, every time we lose, we always appear in Sky Sports. But I am starting to get tired with this issue. In a way, I do blame the NCAA for this because none of this would have never happened if. And Coach Smook, he said this a while ago when we started the show. But none of this would have happened if we can just put headsets in the helmets. We put headsets in the helmets and we can communicate like the NFL does. I mean, this never would have happened. This whole sign stealing thick crap is. I think signs, in my opinion, when it comes to football, at least for college football at this high level, when you're with these universities and you have millions of dollars of equipment and different technology, advanced technology and AI, and we're still going back and we're playing like we're from the 70s and 80s type football. Like, give us headsets, give these quarterbacks or give some of your best play callers headsets, and then you won't have this issue. But it's a really weird issue because I guess it was somebody not from Jim Harbaugh's staff, but somebody that maybe was good with Jim Harbaugh, and he took upon himself to do that. Of course, that's the investigation of whether Jim Harbaugh was really truly involved. Does he really know about it or not? It is what it is. Again, Michigan has looked incredibly dominant on both the offensive side of the ball and defensive side of the ball, not just because they look like they know the playbook, it's because they're physically dominating their opponents, right? Deion Sanders, he kind of said this earlier he said this earlier in his press conference. It doesn't matter if they know how to steal signs. You still got to go out there and execute.
Exactly.
You still got to execute, right? And Michigan physically is dominating people anyway, to a point where it's like, what's the point of them even stealing signs in the first place if they're simply just going to just absolutely just crush everybody that's in their path? So I agree with you. I think that this is a mess. I do think for the most part, if you are Michigan, and I think this is what they're going to do, it's going to be due process. They're going to argue due process, right? I don't think they're going to, the Big Ten, they're going to try to offer, they're going to try to issue a punishment, and they want Michigan to probably take it. They're not going to take it. They're going to issue due process, and they're simply going to let the FBI, which is you got the federal, you got the FBI investigating you. They're just going to let them continue the investigation. This could literally go on for about a year,
2 or 3 years.
Yeah,
2 or 3 years. And by that time, who knows? Michigan could potentially get a national championship during that potential time. They're not really worried about. I don't think they're worried about this right now. Now, of course, they had to respond. They got to respond sooner or later because they haven't really said that much about about anything. So they got to kind of respond. That's what the Big Ten has kind of ordered. But overall wise, they're going to try to get due process. They're going to try to let the investigation definitely take its course, definitely take its place. And it's just, it's one of the weirdest situations I think I've probably seen that is, still being talked about on a daily basis.
Yeah, I think so too.
I'm just over it, man. I'm with you though. Like, I don't think this season has been affected by Tennessee. I mean, not Tennessee, but Michigan. I don't know why I said Tennessee. Maybe because they some snitches and some cheats too. But I don't think. Why. Yeah, I don't think Michigan has needed to steal signals. Their schedule was favorable to just. They could have woke up and practiced 2 or 3 days a week and beat a lot of the teams on this schedule. Like, I mean, no walkthroughs, and then just show up for the bus on Saturday so we could ride and do the Walk of Champions, and then weeks 1 through up until this week, man. They listen to the schedule, man. Michigan, East Carolina, UNLV, Bowling Green, Rutgers, Nebraska, Minnesota, Indiana, who's probably the most competitive team that they've seen this season, which is trash. Like Michigan State, Purdue, like these teams are not marquee teams. None of these teams. Michigan State hasn't had a solid year in probably like 8 years, maybe.
Indiana may have won 3 games, maybe.
I mean, 2 this year.
Yeah. So.
You remember 2 years ago they was like 7-0. They started the season 6-0.
Yeah, with Michael Penix.
Yeah, but you literally had a class of guys that had been together for 3-4 years. That was their first literally recruiting class that they was able to keep together for 3 years. That's why you saw that type of production. And Michigan was in the down year. Ohio State was still trending up. Michigan State had fell off. Tucker was struggling with that program. Maryland was probably your next competitive team in that conference. Rutgers fell off because they hadn't put together a good recruiting class in 6 or 7 years. So Michigan has done what they were supposed to do. Like I said, Penn State, if anybody's going to give them their first test, and I mean, I don't, like you said, Shawn, I don't think Penn State is a 4-quarter team that can compete with a physical team like Michigan, but you never know, man. And like I said, this is an afternoon game. Michigan hasn't really been tested. If they was to get tested, this would be the game, but I don't think any of that should matter right now. Let them boys play football. Keep it out the media. I'm tired of hearing it. Let's talk football and not some weird guy on the sidelines trying to steal plays.
Shout out Hattie May. We appreciate you. Roll tide to you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. And thank you guys so much for visiting, for doing this again. This is our second time doing this, so we appreciate a lot of you guys in here. Like I said, I see you guys. I see you, Reese, Leanne. I see you, Mike G, Duke. Pretty much a lot of the regulars in the chat. Appreciate you guys so much for everything that you kind of offer to the chat. Coach, will you see something?
Yeah, Mike G, like? Man. Mike G. He literally just said the same. And this is my guy, man. Mike G. We dialogue a lot in these chats, but to me, it's not like a Louisville year where Louisville was trending upwards for like 2 or 3 years, and then Lamar Jackson and those guys just blew up on the scene. This is like Rutgers being your competition, and literally, who's the starting quarterback for Rutgers? You get what I'm saying? Like, at least when you say Michigan, you be like, ain't it McNamara or ain't that boy still there? You know what I'm saying? Like, you could be like, who they still got that boy, right? But because I don't really get into that conference is not entertaining football to watch ever. You know, maybe once in a lifetime, Ohio State and Michigan, but it's not a entertaining conference to watch at all. So you look at Rutgers and you're like, that's their competition. That's the 6-2 team that really just, I don't know.
I got a question for you guys. Shout out to TRV Sports Tripreneur Sports Podcast. This is for the chat. This is for all my fellow coaches. Now I'm in my 40s, so I'm a little older, and so the traditions of football, I'm used to that. I want to know, how do you guys feel about this? We all know the SEC is pretty much the southern part of the United States. We know the Big Ten, for the most part, was the northern, midwestern, whatever you want to call it, northern from the south, but really midwestern part of the country. And we know the West Coast was the Pac-12. How do you guys feel about, in 2024, USC, which is Los Angeles, will be a regular game, not a one-time game, but a regular opponent of Big Ten schools? That means USC will be traveling
Oregon.
2,000 miles to
Yep.
Columbus, Ohio, or vice versa for a regular game. Like, that's like, what rivalry, like UCLA versus Rutgers. Like, who the hell want to see that? You know what I mean? Stanford is in the ACC. So Palo Alto, California, you're going to fly all the way to Wake Forest. That's going to be a normal game, guys. Like, that's a normal game. USC going to have to go to Ohio State in November, play Penn State in November. You in California. LA, not east, not Eastern California, or you're in
Southern Cal.
Southern California. So I just don't know how I feel about this new. I mean, it hadn't really affected the SEC that much, because I always looked at Texas like they were a Southern school.
Yeah.
You know,
Texas,
Florida State's,
Oklahoma, Kansas can even
yeah,
slide in there sometimes.
even Florida State, I look at them like
Yeah.
they're a Southern school. It's close to Alabama. You know what I mean? But UCLA versus Maryland in a regular conference, Stanford versus Florida State. These are going to be your new rivalries. I don't want to know how do everybody feel about that.
I'm against it big time. It doesn't make sense geographically. It doesn't help those teams traditionally strength of schedule. You talking about USC trying to build some type of legitimacy. Honestly, y'all should have started pulling some of those MAC teams that's over there, the Mountain West teams. That's
They
where they should
good.
have been with, and started pulling those guys to the pack and trying to build that, or if you're going to make it smaller, you want to make bigger power conferences, I'm all for it, but at least redo the geographic makeup. Keep your Northeast there, keep your Southeast there, keep your West Coast there, because you have the ability to do it. You have it there. Which to me, I think that's when they would try to slide Texas out west and Oklahoma, those teams like that. But to me, the way they're trying to set it up for the playoffs, I think it works out perfect, man, because you get to let USC beat up maybe Clemson, or well, they're not in the ACC, but they get to go ahead and knock out a Penn State from being in contention, and now you got USC and Ohio State possibly in the playoffs. You got Oregon and what conference they going to?
They going to the Big Ten.
Yeah, so like you got maybe Oregon and Michigan. You get what I'm saying? Like that for playoffs, that might be a good game. You get what I'm saying? But regular season is one of those things you're like, man, this just don't make sense. You want the 12 teams. I want the 12 team playoff, but I don't want the conferences like this to where those teams are really still getting by. They getting in by getting by, like.
Let me say this before you tap in, Coach J. Coach Smook, think about this. Play ball as well, Jerick, Coach J. Bro, can you realize you're about to be flying on a flight?
That's
Now,
crazy.
Notre Dame has been doing this. We know Notre Dame is special. They've been doing the 2,000 miles to play USC, another 900 miles to play Florida State. They've been doing it. Cool, right? They have their own freaking contract with NBC by themselves. Cool. But for these college kids to have to still go to class, fly 2,000 miles, some of the NFL teams don't hardly do sometimes until you play out of the division. I mean, goodness, man, from Columbus to LA, from where else we got? New Jersey to South Carolina. It's like these kids are going to be doing this almost every other Saturday. So I just don't know, man. College football. That's why I say, man, to everybody out there that get mad at these children when they take these NIL deals, do not get mad at these kids, because these universities are all about the money as well. They are all about the money. Do not get mad at these young men when they take these NIL deals, when coaches can leave when they want to. I watched Willie Taggart coach 1 year and bolted. I watched Manny Diaz coach at Temple for 8 hours and left. You know what I mean? So please, guys, don't get mad at these 16, 17, 18-year-old kids when you got grown people that's setting the tone, and whole institutions setting the tone. I watched Dan Lanning go on a rant about Colorado leaving. Who cares? What have they done? Da, 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 da. Guess what happened about 3 weeks after that? He left. They left. So money controls it all, man. Money controls it all, Coach J.
And that's why I don't have a problem with them. I'm gonna be completely honest. I don't really have that much of an issue with it because we've been left this era of tradition. Like we have started to leave this tradition years ago, and I think we were heading towards this direction. Everyone's getting TV deals. Apple TV's getting involved. Peacock's getting Peacock. They got a college
YouTube
football
TV.
contract.
Streaming,
YouTube TV is getting it. Like all these streaming services and all these networks, these national networks. You even starting to have a bunch of foreign companies starting to come in and they're starting to take control. You know what you know what it's looking like? It's looking like European. It's looking like European soccer or European football, as they call it, right? The Premier League, La Liga, Brazilian League, Portuguese League. That's what it looks like.
That's what it needs to go ahead and transition to, man. Honestly, you need to go ahead. If you're going to give high school kids the opportunity to create NIL and value for themselves coming out of high school, and it's not a problem anymore. High school kids are really, hiring softly hiring agents. They're having their parents represent them,
right?
And
I know that personally. Yep.
Me too. Like,
yeah,
I ain't gonna say his name, but the kid he's going to be a 5-star before his senior year starts. He's going to be a 5-star. He's going to be a top wide receiver target for a lot of SEC schools. And, listening to his father talk about this process, man, and how the game has changed since he was a top basketball recruit out of the Southeast back in 2001. It's crazy, man. I'm like, this kid is going to be 2 years in the school and be able to pay a mortgage if he doesn't go to the NFL. Like,
it's crazy, man. But I'll tell this story though, and for all the fans that don't understand how some of this stuff comes about, let me make some fans put yourself, all the fans in the chat, in this situation. If you got a kid, let's say you have a kid who's 19 years old, he's a starting quarterback at Alabama. Let's just say as a freshman, he starts, right? Your kid starts. You come to Tuscaloosa to see your kid play. All of a sudden, you see your kid's face on a billboard promoting Johnny Joe's Winnebago service. You're like, well, who is this? Johnny Joe's Winnebago? And this really happened to his father. I know all about this. So you go into this Johnny Joe's Winnebago service. You ask Johnny Joe, who gave you permission to put my son's face on your billboard? Johnny Joe tells you, nobody. I'm an alumnus. I don't have to ask you for nothing. You're the parent of this kid. Kid don't have no clue. Johnny Joe has made about $170,000 overhead off your kid's face because everybody think your kid promotes this Winnebago service. Johnny Joe looks you, the parent, in your face and tells you, I don't have to share anything with you. That's the rule. Well, now in 2023, 2022 as well, you can't do that anymore. If you use my child's face, name, his image, likeness, anything that look like him, and you make money off of my child outside of the scholarship, you have to pay the parent, the kid, whoever it is that you make the deal with. The scholarship hadn't changed since I played football, all but the embroidery. That's all look different. The wording is the exact same. You play football, you keep your grades up. We won't give you no attrition. You play ball here. It don't say nothing about Coach Smook, Coach J, and Coach Shawn got to go down here and take pictures for Johnny Joe's Winnebago service. Let me make $400,000 off you. Right. It don't say that. A lot of people don't understand. And I think Chris Webber told a story about this. Some of these kids don't come from well-off homes. Some of these kids don't come from, I know it's a lot of guys out there who don't understand. I had this conversation with Greg McElroy on the radio, and Greg said, he told the truth. Greg said, I come from a family that, Greg didn't struggle. Greg's father was an executive, and if, Greg don't know what it's like to be without money, respectfully. So some of these, a lot of these kids don't come from that. So when you have these situations to where a kid can make money, they're going to do it. They're going to do it, man. And it's like these universities have been profiting off these kids outside of the scholarship for years.
Case in point, man, Johnny Manziel. What buzz came out of College Station before Johnny Manziel? You see, when they say the Manziel mania, that brought in $363 million of extra revenue in a 4-month span. That city had never seen that type of revenue in its existence. 4-month span, you bringing in 300 some million. That's crazy to me. And this kid was told that the hype and stuff that was being brought into the town, the media showing up, people having going out, taking out bank loans to redo their businesses downtown to be more attractive because now we have an attraction here, and I can't get a percentage of that legally.
Right.
That Johnny Manziel, he when he broke it down, he said within the first month after he took his first $10,000 little money handoff when he went to Miami after the Heisman season, he turned around. He said, "Man, we were capping out." His buddy said we were capping out $400K a month, $400K a month, and you telling me that's not even 10% of what the city or the university was making off of you. And
tell him, Coach Smook, tell him nobody asked his permission.
Nobody asked permission. He got in trouble for giving a fan a signature on a jersey. That's crazy. Like a signature.
Crazy.
And the fan said, "Hey, thank you so much, man. God bless you." Gave him 100 or however much money it was. It wasn't
who was the quarterback from the Rose Bowl? I forgot what it is. He played with Ohio State. How he autographed his jersey and he autographed his jersey and he sold his Rose Bowl jersey and autographed it. Terrell Pryor. Terrell Pryor.
That's what I was about to say. Pryor
got in trouble and he got banned for a year, and to a point where he decided to go to the supplemental draft and get like potential first round pick ruined because he gave away his jersey. He signed away his jersey and made a little money cash because he would. Chase Young, remember he got investigated because he flew his girlfriend. Right, he actually he got a little bit of money and he paid his girlfriend to come see him play at the Rose Bowl game. Like this, I mean, we've seen stuff like this happen all the time. I mean, I played against I'm not gonna name him, but I played against a 5-star quarterback in high school who came from not just a rich family. He had a rich NFL name.
Yeah,
played in the SEC, went up against Bama, did his thing against Alabama. I can't tell you how many times this kid, how because he was such a name and because he had a legendary quarterback who's from the area as a family member, they made him a prodigy of the city. They kept it was billboards, endorsements. You saw him on cable TV, on sports networks. Like high school football in our area did not get covered as much until that kid was playing. He was covered almost every week. More than the Bills. Like he was getting more coverage, and we had a local store that were selling his jerseys and selling T-shirts and memorabilia, and people were just buying it up. You had a bunch of high school kids going crazy for it. Right? Went to the All-American game, did his thing. That kid, what he was producing, produced thousands upon thousands of dollars. Now, of course, he was a rich kid. But, and of course, there were some sneaky things under the table. I'm not going to, it is what it is on there. Yeah. But he made a lot of money, and didn't even get that much of a cent of it because of the NCAA. Because if the NCAA says, if you accept this money, you're not going to be eligible to play in college. And a lot of kids have been like that.
Well, you say, Sean, NCAA clearinghouse, them folks, man,
my God.
They made it hard because I got into the recruiting process late as a senior. So, the only reason I didn't go D2 or D1 was because some of the things that I had been engaging in, I didn't know I couldn't play basketball for money as a senior in high school. I didn't know that. I didn't know I couldn't go play for the local not AAU, but ABA team. I was old enough, but I didn't know that it was against the rules. So
same with us.
You can go to college, but guess what? You have to play a year where your NCAA eligibility is non-void. So off to the NAIA school, I go for my first year of college.
They got mad at us. They got mad at us because it was a local business owner that bought our tracksuits for state. You see, back then, state used to be in Selma, Alabama. Back then, they got, and so that followed us all through. My mother went to Alabama, and so I ended up going there to pay for my ride. But I want all the fans to understand what we're saying. What we're saying is these underhanded things have been going on. Think about what all of us are saying. They'll penalize the kid, but you have greedy rich dudes that are getting paid from these dudes. Hey, come. I went to a silent auction. Bro, with this person. They were selling golf clubs and Bama helmets for like $1,000, and we was eating the plates, and the plates was like $600. First time I ever had lamb chops in my life, and they were delicious. But bro, I've seen all of this. I've been a part of this, man. And then when the kid bites a little bit of that carrot, he's selfish. He's selfish. He's all about himself. You guys have no clue how many grown people are making money off of these young men. It's just 2024 with social media and cameras. Now these kids are not afraid to
That's what it is.
yeah. You're not going
You know what saved me? You know what saved this from happening in 2006 and between 2006 and 2010? Julio could have very well put Alabama out there, you know, because it was known.
Oh, yeah.
We knew what Julio needed to come to Alabama.
Mm-hmm.
Julio wanted to come to Alabama. No matter, there was so much money being thrown at Julio his senior year. I remember in the playoffs, basketball season, Julio comes down and he catches the ball off the rim and dunks on our center, man. And it was probably like one of the highlights of my high school career, just being there, seeing that I'm a fan of another high school kid that's committed to Alabama. Like, that was crazy to see him dunk on my center. But after the game, man, you can't tell. I don't know too many, and I'm not racist by any means, but I don't know too many white dudes coming from Fairhope, you know what I'm saying, down there and driving the type of cars that they pulled up in, and the type of ride he rode off it from Phoenix City, Auburn, Alabama, left Auburn in that type of vehicle. Like, it's not a thing. And come to find out, you look at their watch, they got the the cufflinks, they got Tennessee cufflinks, you know, gold cufflink, Tennessee gold national championship rings from when they played at Tennessee. You go and look it up. This guy was a left tackle for Peyton Manning when he played with Peyton. So it's one of those things. I'm like, wow, 2007 that's been happening, you know. So
I can take you back farther than that.
I know.
I was a freshman and I was on varsity playing against this school called Blount County when they had this dude named Damian Craig. They had Sherman Williams. They had Patrick Evans. They had like 6 Division I dudes, man, and they were awesome. These dudes had like the jumps. I ran track against them dudes too. These dudes were so taken care of, bro. You know what I mean? Like I cannot tell people out there that college football, I don't think is quite as bad as college basketball. If it is, it's not open like basketball. Basketball be doing some outlandish stuff. You know what I'm saying?
Especially with these academies. Oh my
yes,
God,
man.
academies, what they be doing with these kids.
Don't ever think when you see these kids and you see these especially these alumni business owners, don't ever think these guys are I can remember the University of Alabama got in trouble just because Mark Ingram and Julio went on a fishing trip.
Yep, with the
yeah, man. Yeah. So that kind of thing today would be legal because of what they had to do, right? But they tried to put I think they did. Didn't they put tried to put the university on probation?
They tried to, but it was one of those things where no money was exchanged. You can't like everything was in I forget, it's like I want to say it was Mr. Sampson. He's well known around the university, Mr. Sampson, but everything was in his name, and he had been doing it for years, you know.
Yeah,
it just so happened to be because it was Julio and Mark Ingram and Coach Saban, you know, bringing in that class. Now it was a problem, but when you have a university behind you and the university gives you full control, to a guy like Coach Saban, you're not gonna see nothing illegal happening. Everything's gonna be done and covered, you know. And he's a mastermind at it. You know that Alabama has maintained the competition by doing the right things and making sure they're doing the right stuff at the right time. You get what I'm saying? Like it's a certain way to play the game every which way. And Coach Saban, that's why he's still ahead of the game when it comes to that aspect of college football.
I'll say this, and this will be my last comment on it to the fans. The kids are only responsible for doing what the scholarships say. Maintaining your GPA, playing football, not getting in any trouble, and you won't get attrition, not unless you just no good and you just can't play.
Yeah.
They're not responsible, and I'm going to be careful what I say here, because I coached 3 kids that played at Bama. You know what I mean? They're not William Ming, LeBron, and there's one other. They're not responsible for doing things outside of the scholarship. If people understand, the scholarship doesn't state you got to go over here and do this for this person, take pictures with this person, right? They don't have to do that, right? Because those things make other people money. You don't got to go take pictures at JoJo's Winnebago service because that made JoJo some money, right? Well, now Milo's Tea is ahead of everybody. They said, we're going to put it out there. We'll go to Alabama and Auburn, put the athletes on the front of the bucket or whatever they sell the tea in, and whatever we make, we'll cut you in on it. So Milo's T is a step ahead of everybody. They just went on and put it out there, right? I need the fans to understand it's not that these kids are selfish. These kids are just tired of being exploited. And everybody else getting paid except them, right?
Imagine. Go ahead. My fault.
No, you good. You good.
Imagine all of us, we work, you know what I'm saying? Imagine I just got hired as a permanent sub. I'm a permanent sub now. Imagine I go to work as a permanent sub, not a certified teacher, but a permanent sub, basically a glorified babysitter, you know, and I'm working in 7.5 hours a day. Imagine if I go there and did what I do, not necessarily bare minimum, but what my job description requires me, and I was getting paid the same as a principal that had been, you know, an administrator and went to school for 6 years to get her education degree and taught for 10, 12 years and got. Imagine if I was getting paid the same, and you know, everybody talking this crazy noise about equal this, equal that. You know, it's for the organization. No, it's not. That's crazy to sit there and say this person is more deserved. If I'm the one putting the work in, which is the principal, the one putting the work in, keeping this school up and running, hire the right people, doing the right things, I'm doing the right stuff. If I'm doing my job, that's bringing in the money, I want my cut. Simple as that. I have never seen why it has never been a agenda. I don't know why it didn't happen. I think you do need to put, like Coach Saban said, put some restraints on it. I don't think
a college kid get crazy. Yeah.
I don't think a college kid should be walking around with, you know, $300K a month. That's crazy. That you just
high school kid that had never played college football. Yeah,
right. It's crazy to me. And even Coach Saban, he has restrictions on the type of how much jewelry these guys wear. Not saying you can't be you, but hey, still present yourself to create value, you know. And I think when you have that type of parameters, guys will maximize, because not all thousands of these college football players are going to go to the league. And that's what the main thing was. How do these guys, after 3 or 4 years of taking them injuries to their body, how do they survive past this if they don't go to the next level? You know, so I love the NIL, but definitely get some parameters on it so guys can set themselves up for success, and it could be, you know, it could get back to college football.
So what Coach Smook's saying is, guys, we support the kids with NIL, but we do not support pay for play. You know what I mean? True. What you think,
That's
Coach Jay?
What's wrong with the NFL?
No, I mean, Nick. I mean, I agree with. I mean, Nick Saban. What happened with him? He got torched on, said he didn't care about the kids, and this is why he's losing recruits to Colorado and all this crap like that. And all of a sudden, we come around. What did Nick Saban say? I told you. I told you. I mean, look at On3, man. On3 with these NIL evaluations, and now look what are high school recruits doing? Here's my NIL evaluation. If you want me to come to your school, this is what you need to give me.
And remember this, Coach Jay,
my net worth, like it's
not to interrupt you real quick. What Coach Jay saying is very important, because a school like Miami, that's a private institution, they don't have to report what they give.
Right.
They don't have to tell the state nothing. You know what I mean? Miami can come in there with these private donors. They got billions and give a kid whatever the hell they want, and they don't have to tell nothing. Go ahead, Coach Jay. My bad.
Oh no. I know a couple. I ain't gonna name. I know a couple kids.
Oh yeah,
that got offered the bank. Oh my God, they got offered the bank. But you know what? Like I said earlier, it's turning into soccer. It's turning into European, Brazilian soccer, where these kids no, of course that it's worse over there, because they're getting offered at 7, 8 years old to come getting paid hundreds of thousands of dollars to play from these youth academies. Go to the youth academies, get developed, then their value is worth $10 million, and then the club is going to sell them, and then it's way worse. Only except that they're doing it at 6, 7, 8 years old, getting paid hundreds of thousands of dollars to come, because they're so damn talented, right? Go to Brazil and you'll see what I mean. But it's we're now in an era where NIL evaluations is looking like it's basically the high school football version of Forbes, right?
Crazy,
Bronny James is like valued at. Prior was at $8-9 million. Mikey Williams was at $3 million. Arch Manning hasn't even played a snap of football, college football, right? I mean, as a high school recruit, you would think, okay, this kid has got to be the greatest high school star to ever exist. No, he's not. I mean, he had a pretty decent high school career, but not better than Jalen Murrow, not more accomplished than Julian Sayin right now. And his NIL offer value was like over $5 million, $6 million.
A name
because of his social media. It's the name. it's now it's like you got to promote yourself on social media. You got to be like Julian Newman, who was a basketball prodigy at 8th grade. You got to be like the Ball brothers with Lonzo, LaMelo, and LiAngelo. I mean, if they were, I mean, you can imagine if they were now, if they were here now with LeVar, what their NIL value, each and every single one of them would probably be at $9-10 million each. I mean,
it's crazy that you say that because LaMelo Ball was on a podcast and I'm gonna share it with y'all. He was like, man, if NIL was a thing when I was in high school, he said, I guarantee you I would have never went to Lithuania. I would have never developed into the player I am now because we were really just trying to secure the legacy. Me and my brothers had committed to securing the legacy. People look at the TV series and all that. It was all part of the plan, but you secure the legacy because my dad taught us, their dad taught them early. These organizations don't care about you. You're a product. What do you do when you run out of lotion, Coach Shawn and Coach Jay? Do you keep that lotion bottle and put it in a case and say, oh man, this was my favorite lotion bottle? No, you toss that mug in the recycle bin.
Right.
Me, I don't care, but I just throw it in the trash and I go to Dollar General or Walmart and buy me another thing of lotion or whatever I'm using on my skin. That's literally what a player is to the NFL, was to the NFL / NBA, all these different sports. But now, because of the way society is changing, like you said, Coach Jay, and we're evolving, guys are starting to see the importance and find the value. I guarantee you guys like Deion Sanders, who was a high commodity in college. Deion Sanders probably be multi-billionaire right now if he had collected what he brought to the University of Florida State.
Never been in trouble for real. Yep.
Sunglasses that he made that a thing. The Jerick curl on the field, he made that a thing. The flashy jumpsuits, they was doing it outside of the football field, but nobody was showing up to the game with that type of energy. Right. He started impacting the culture of how, college football and hip hop and all that stuff was integrated. So you can't tell me a guy like Deion Sanders wouldn't be LeBron James, like, you know what I'm saying, if he had them opportunities available. So I like where it's going. Trending as far as getting some boundaries set to it if they can continue to advance, but it needs to advance fast because you got a lot of talent coming up, man, and you don't want to see guys. You don't want to be able to not keep up with guys because they're transferring schools every week, every year or so because, I got my money. Let me go to the next school, Yeah,
I'll tell you this too, for the fans. This is why Coach Saban said what he said last year, whenever it was about Jimbo Fisher and Texas A&M. He wasn't hating on Jimbo. It really wasn't even about Jimbo. It was about Texas A&M.
Yeah.
What Coach Saban was, he was just trying to how to kowtow to Bama's donors, saying he pretty much was saying in layman terms, listen, you got our competition out here that's paying recruits big money. We got to pony up. This is legal now. Hit these collectives. Collectives that are supposed to not have nothing to do with the university because we got to have money to pay. Texas A&M signed a class with about 7 of the top defensive linemen. I mean, it was ridiculous, man.
And where's the natty? Where's the
exactly?
Where's the division?
Do you know how much acres of land was offered to some of these recruits?
Yes,
acres of land.
Yep.
Where they can produce way more than what they
were.
Court
records. This is court records showing this stuff because it's legal. And so when he made that statement and people were looking sideways or trying to say Coach Neighbors, no, we ain't snitching. He said if you don't control it now, people like me are going to be able to take advantage of it, and it's not going to be fair, and it's not going to be good for the game of college football because Texas got money, but Texas can't keep those guys there. These are not these contracts. This money that they give is not contractually binding you to that university. Right. you guaranteeing them a $50,000 payout for doing one event, and they could literally take that $50,000 and next week say, I don't want to play here no more.
Yeah,
and you can't do nothing about it. Probably terrorize. Do what conspiracy theories type stuff, but
I had to give a seminar on this, and I told the kids at JC this. I told them, I said, the guys that's giving this money for you guys to come to these universities, like that kid from Tennessee that got $4.5 million, Nico Umuma, the Polynesian kid I think he's Polynesian. I can't pronounce his last name.
Leo, the quarterback guy.
Yeah.
I
told the kids up here, I said, if you guys think that these people with this money are giving this money and expecting nothing in return, you kidding yourself. Rich people are not into giving money for just nothing. Even the kids, even the rich people who donate to the boosters, they get perks with that, right? These people are not just giving money with and not expecting a return on their money. If you don't think the heat is turned up at Texas A&M right now, you better believe it, man. You know what I mean? So I tell the kids, I use Alabama. Go to Alabama. Make your name on the football field. Your NIL will come to you. Jersey sales. People will look at Bryce Young. Your NIL, Ford and Heisman House, and all these things will come when you make your name on the football field first. Don't take the fast money. I know it's hard to say no, and I probably wouldn't say no either. But if you just do it for the long term, you're gonna be way more successful. Way more successful.
Remember Quinn went to Ohio State. A big reason why he left high school early was because of the money. He got offered a $2 million deal, I think, from multiple businesses that were in that area, including a car dealership, which, I mean, they gave him a massive amount of money. But yeah, he was $2 million. And of course, when he left, he didn't really keep a lot of the money. Some of the money I believe he took. Don't kind of quote me on that, but some of it I know he took. But he didn't keep all of it because, of course, he transferred. But one of the biggest reasons why he didn't go to Texas was because he left high school early as a junior, after his junior year, to go after the money, because they offered him the most.
Yeah.
Right.
Or a lot of the people around there were offered him the most.
Hey, and then last thing I want to say on the subject, man. You look at teams like Texas, like Ohio State. Kids are being mentored and they're being advised by legit agents. And I think what the college football game, the college football scene hasn't been able to really feel the effects of is dealing with agents who really know how to go and get, what they deserve, because their percentage and what they make is based off what the player gets. So it's a different type of attack and a type of approach when it comes to negotiating, getting guys to commit to a school. Like, I think that's why you have to get it under control, because I mean, quality of football is just going to die off. Quality of football on the field, and
Right.
the more the professional aspect gets deeper into the lower levels of the game. I mean, I see it happening in youth football right now, guys. You got parents literally getting like paid to have kids come and play on their trap ball. Hey, you bring your kid over here. We'll cover your room. We'll cover the equipment, and we're gonna give you a little stipend for gas if you got to drive that weekend. Like, it's crazy, and
It is.
for a win. And then a lot of these coaches that's coaching these travel teams, they're not in the school systems and doing it where it matters, where the games are actually being recruited. They just doing it for a personal gain. Local celebrities, give me a YouTube series, maybe give me on Netflix, probably. That's what it's just crazy. But like Coach Saban said, you have to get a hold on this thing, or the quality of football is just going to continue to die off.
The quality, and you're gonna have a bunch of kids on one team with weird attitudes, a bunch of selfish kids. Man, bro, like Texas A&M.
Man,
kids transferring, they getting mad, they fighting each other in the all kind of stuff going on over there, man. All kind of stuff. Trust me. Kids getting caught doing crazy stuff, in the locker room, bringing man, it's just all kind of crazy stuff they got going on over there, man. Trust me.
Yeah, man. But I think we at a good point right now at Alabama, being in the mix of all of it, on the field, off the field. I think Coach Saban continues to just impress, or show, exactly what he's been preaching since he's came to Alabama. Or, just that process, man. It's every process that Coach Saban, every obstacle this team has been hit with, this university has been hit with since being under his leadership, man. It's like we always start off in the gray area, but on the positive side of the gray area, to the point where we didn't see a drop in recruiting. We didn't see a drop in. We can say we saw a drop in on the field play because of how defense performed, but that's mostly coordinator stuff, But talent on the field never dipped off. Relevancy never fell off. Like, this is early in this process, and we're still relevant. So I'm confident to see where this thing goes and how it affects us.
Guys, we're just talking.
At this point,
man, we're just talking, man. Some of it's not even planned at all, man. But this is why you got to join us on Wednesday, man. Wednesday night, every night, 7 o'clock Central Time. Of course, if you're if you're where me and Smook are, 8 o'clock Eastern Standard. Guys, for the most part, this is what we're going to be doing. We're going to be talking a lot of college football, a lot of ball with you guys. We're going to get into some personal things. We're going to give you guys our personal experiences as well. We're just having a great time. And man, if you guys like this sort of content, make sure to hit the like button. We got 51 people in the live chat. Let's try to get the likes up as much as possible. Let's try to share it off and try to get other college football fan bases in here. Because of course, even though this is a more, a Bama channel, for the most part, it'll be cool to kind of interact and get other fan bases in here as well. And because like I said, there's stuff that maybe we don't know that maybe that some of these other fans, they can try to give us some insight on some of their programs. Like it'll be nice to have to see what a Michigan fan would kind of think right now, kind of giving you guys talking about Michigan, or maybe some other recruits could potentially kind of stop by in the chat. I trust me, we've seen some of them, some guys, and that they got to kind of give their personal insight on the topic that we just talked about here. So if you guys definitely make sure, if you like this sort of content, again, hit the like button, share the video, subscribe. And to kind of close this thing out, man, if you any kind of last words before we kind of get this thing off the road.
I want to say shout out to everybody in the chat, man. Hattie Mae, Dolomite, Car Conversations Podcast, pretty much everybody who commenting, man. We appreciate you guys more than you know, man. Vian Holly, George Johnson, Hattie Mae always bringing it, Dolomite always bringing it. Ephraim, what's up, bro? Everybody that's in here, man. We appreciate you guys. We Bama fans, we family, we're going to talk, we're going to debate, we're going to argue, and we're going to hug and win, we're going to celebrate. And we just want to say thank you to everybody. Shout out to Kyle Henderson as well.
For sure. And like you were saying, Coach Shawn, man, we appreciate everybody. Definitely continue to check all of us out on the Twitter. We really trying to get this Twitter push going. So if you haven't followed my brother to my left and my right, man, make sure you go check us out. I'm at Coach Smook. You can see Coach Shawn at JMHO. Just my humble opinion sports talk on Twitter, and Coach J right there, Gent 716.
Yep.
That you on Twitter, right?
That's my Twitter. Yep.
Yeah, we're gonna I'm actually going to try something this weekend, being that it's an early game. And we're gonna get that Discord thread going again this weekend. And I really want you all, if you follow my Twitter, you'll be able to jump in there. But the next coming weeks with the college football playoffs brewing, I've talked with Kyle, and we're going to start seeking out a lot of these other fan-based content creators, the top 4, top 5. So if you guys follow Florida State, or you ever see Florida State, Michigan, Ohio State content creators that have the same type of, general following, tell them we got Alabama analysts that want to talk football, not trash, but we want to really get on here and just talk college football. It's always good to get a different perspective. It's kind of hard to create a different perspective when you have 3 guys who know the game and cheer for the same team. So it's really like we fight our own minds to create these different, point of views, just to keep you all thinking and keep it as unbiased as it is when it comes to judging our team. But when you add different teams to the mix, it definitely could get entertaining and can open your eyes more to what other people see about their team that we don't see. So definitely encourage you all to continue to share and like it up. And with that being said, y'all, Coach Smook on everything, and roll tide.
Roll tide, man.
Coach J.
Yep, roll tide to you guys. We will definitely catch you guys on the post-game show. So definitely make sure to catch us on Saturday. We will be going live right after that game is over. So definitely make sure to catch us on, of course, Mondays as well. We'll kind of give you some more recaps. And then, of course, we'll be back here on Wednesday. So from Coach J, Coach Shawn, and Coach Smook, roll tide.
Roll tide.
Now we got to wait for the spinning wheel of doom.